You're watching KLTX, Channel 15, serving the city of Lufkin.
Today on Screener to Stream It.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Let me think.
Mine would be to inflict puns on people that are so bad that they would lose all will to fight me.
You already do that.
No, I mean puns so bad that it's painful. I could be the Punisher.
You do know there's already a superhero named that, and he's way cooler than whatever that thing was you just said, right?
Oh, that's tough talk for someone who can't even pick a superpower.
Teleportation.
You mean like where you can instantly be somewhere else?
Yeah, because then I can get out of this ridiculous conversation that we're in.
Well played.
Glass is rated PG-13 for violence, including some bloody images, thematic elements, and language.
It is the third installment of an ongoing story by M. Night Shyamalan that began with Unbreakable and Split.
It follows the primary characters from the previous movies, hero David Dunn and villains Mr. Glass and the Beast.
The story begins with David Dunn hunting down a kidnapper who has abducted several teenage girls.
This leads to a confrontation between David and the Beast.
Their fight is interrupted, however, when the police show up to arrest them both.
Enter a psychologist who specializes in treating people who suffer from the delusions that they are superheroes.
Only, in this case, they actually are.
They're kept in an insane asylum until Mr. Glass orchestrates their escape, and then the violence escalates.
So, what did we think about this one?
Critics didn't love it, but the audience had a better reaction. We think this is a good movie. I would like to start by giving a public service announcement for it. When I watched this movie, when it was done, and I don't go, I try not to watch reviews for things before I've seen it because I know we're going to do a review and I want to give my opinion and not someone else's, and I don't want my view to be jaded when I'm going in and being looking for things. So I went and watched this movie, and when I got done, I went, this was great. In fact, this is probably my favorite movie we've seen this year. I know it's not that long into the year, but it definitely the highest rated movie I've given in a long time. I really enjoyed it, and I went home and I kind of looked up ratings because I wanted to see how other people enjoyed it too, and they didn't. The critics didn't rate it very well, people didn't rate it very well. But when I looked at people's reviews, it's oh man, this is just a crappy, this is a crappy version of a superhero movie. I don't this is a boring superhero movie. It's not it is a movie with people in it that are supposed to be superheroes or villains, but it's not a superhero movie. If you sat down and you were expecting Captain America, you are going to hate this movie. But if you saw Unbreakable, I don't understand how you go into this movie
not knowing what to expect.
Hey, this is going to be a superhero movie.
I can explain it in two thoughts, and this is my opinion about people's prejudices. Prejudice number one about comic books. People don't always understand the world of underground comic books, and that's a lot of what the Unbreakable movies are a tribute to. The lesser known stories, the not over the top heroic stuff, but the more character driven development of an individual and kind of their story, kind of closer to what you would see with Vertigo comics or America's Best Comics. And then the second prejudice would be against Shyamalan himself. People just do not give him a chance and do not like him. They felt like he's betrayed them in the past with some of the movies he's done.
He has.
And they're no matter what he's going to do, he shall not be forgiven, and we can't look at anything that he does except for in the shadow of the past.
And I think that's unfair because he did surprise us all with Split, which was fantastic.
Well, he seems to be 50-50. and his movies are usually he doesn't do meh.
Oh, no.
Right? It's oh man, that was really good. Or, oh god, what did he do there?
Yeah.
But he's 50-50, so you just never know until you go and watch the thing. You gotta give it
flip a coin. Yeah, toss the coin.
What you're saying is movies are split.
You can't take Josh's lines, I'm sorry. But I really enjoyed this, and when I walked out of the theater, I said, they should send whoever writes the Marvel movies here to take notes on how to do a villain.
Yes.
But one of the big problems with the Marvel movies is there's no character development for the villains, or if there is, it's minimal or not good.
Right.
And then even DC does it now, and I mean DC has. I always liked DC better than Marvel in the comics because I like the villains better in DC. But even with their movies and stuff now, the villains are kind of hokey and corny and over the top. And man, like Glass, like Samuel L. Jackson does such a good job of just, and he's not maniacally evil. He has a goal that he thinks is right. And you can say that for Marvel too. You know, Thanos does the same thing. But at the same time, I don't buy Thanos. Like, I just don't buy that he thinks that's the right thing to do for some reason. But I buy Samuel L. Jackson. Like, this is the right thing to do. This is for the betterment of mankind. This is for what we need to do. And he is willing to do anything, anything to make that happen.
Yeah.
He's willing to sacrifice lives, whatever, to make that happen. And to me, that's a true, the most horrible people in the history of mankind, if you asked them, they wouldn't tell you they were horrible people. Oh, I'm doing the right thing for the right time. I'm trying to help my people. I'm trying to do whatever. And to me, that's what Glass did. And you take him being the cerebral and the planning, and I love the fact that he is Glass, that he cannot be the big bad guy. Right? Because, he, for most of the time in the movie, is in a wheelchair.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's not going to punch anybody in the face. He's the brain. And he has to develop that, and he has to use that, and he does greatly. But then you've got Kevin Wendell Crumb, who's the
Horde.
The Horde, yeah. So James McAvoy, and he has 20 credits in the I counted them. There are
20.
There are 20 credits. Because he plays that split personality thing, and to watch him go back and forth in between the different personalities, and how well he does that, and the fact that not just his voice changes, but his manner, he becomes those people.
I was amazed that several times you could tell who he became before he said a word.
Yeah.
Just by how he was standing, you could tell.
There was a scene where he was supposed to be one of the female characters. They were trying to sneak out, and he was in a robe, and so you couldn't see that it was him. But as he was walking away, it was a woman.
Oh.
Your brain goes, oh, there's a female walk, because he walked, and he everything was like that, and then it kind of comes around to reveal that it's him. He did such an amazing job, and some of them are kind of crazy and over the top, and he just bought in hook, line, and sinker, 100% to it. And I thought that was great. And you can't have a good villain unless you've got a good guy to, juxtapose. Right. The thing that kind of made me happy is this is a villain story.
Right.
And a lot of times, even if we have a villain story, it's just there to have somebody, for the hero to punch in the face. And this was almost an actual reversal. Bruce Willis was kind of only there to be beat up by the bad guys, He had much less of a role than I thought he would.
Right.
Because I really figured you have Bruce Willis in a movie, you're going to use him every chance you get. And they all kind of shared.
They almost got even time.
Yeah, they really did.
Samuel L. Jackson was kind of staring because he was
sedated
most of the time.
But
he's still got those close-ups.
He still got the close-ups. He just twitched in the chair. But it was a great twitch, though. He did a really good job with the twitch. But I loved that. I love the story.
Be a terrible villain name. The Twitch.
I'm just imagining if that role was ever nominated for an Oscar and they gave a recap of different scenes. And it was just a bunch of them sitting there. And they're like, wow.
Beautiful.
So all of that came together to make just this, and it is a very. If you wanted to sit back and criticize this from a person that was going in for a comic movie, it's very slow. The fight scenes are not that interesting. There's nothing blows up, or there's no explosions of any grand nature. It's all about what they're doing. It's about the characters. It's about the close up and the mind and the development, and that's just so nice and refreshing. And I'm not knocking punching people in the face and stuff. No. I love that, but it's so nice to have something to.
Well, and this for me, it means so much more when they are fighting, because you have, all that build of who they are, what's their motivation, and so to me that makes a far more exciting struggle than just wham, boom, slapping around.
Did anyone get the feeling that this is really what Magneto should have been?
Well, that's what I said. They should have taken notes on this is how, and that's why when I went home I was so disheartened to see all these negative reviews, because I walked out and I went, because movies just emulate other movies constantly, and I'm like, all right, if you're going to copy something, like I want that villain, I want that cerebral, that thought, and it kind of took out all the cartooniness. Like it just, even with the horde, the beast, when he's doing the running and stuff, like that's cartoony. But it's not because
I know it's
of the
impossible,
context.
but I believed it anyway. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh no!
Because the entire thing has still been based in a reality that we understand. It's you don't have super people flying through the sky all the time like you do in other movies. This is as close to the real world as we've gotten in a comic book movie.
Well, and also because the characters aren't like super over the top, the movie, and I talk about this all the time, but the scale. Like the camera's in close and we're in, most of it takes place in the like mental asylum. Some of the best movies I have ever seen take place in a room.
Yeah.
Clerks, The Man from Earth, like there's just no grand scale. When the scale becomes too grand, I just can't, like it loses meaning.
It does.
And in something like this, where you're going to be about the characters and about the development, it needs that meaning. And just the fact that we're in Samuel L. Jackson's face, and we're in James McAvoy's face, and we're in Bruce Willis's face, like the entire time.
Yeah.
We are there with them, with their thoughts. And I really loved Bruce Willis's character for the little bit he got, because he had finally like, all right, I am a hero, I'm going to do this stuff. But it wasn't, again, he wasn't wearing green spandex and jumping through. He's like, all right, he's wearing normal stuff and they're trying to do it on the slide. He's got his son to help him, and I actually enjoyed that. He was trying to do good the most he could with what he had.
Yeah.
And I like that.
I was going to say, you brought up the son.
It's the same kid.
It was
is
the same kid
kid.
that freaked me out.
And he's by no means a good actor, but I was happy to see that, because if it had
Not very
switched to, say,
attractive looking.
Orlando Bloom or
Yeah.
somebody, that would have distracted me the entire time.
Well, he's kind of weird looking. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm ugly. It's okay. We
He
can
was a
talk
cute
about that.
kid, but yeah, when you.
But no. And so I remember watching the movie, and I was like, they would have hired that actor. Like, they would have hired that guy if he had
Right.
walked in. I'm like, that has to be the same kid. And it was. I was like, oh man, that's so great.
Like, each character had, like, a side character with them that
The mom, the
really kind
girlfriend,
of fleshed out
yeah.
the character. And that was good, because a lot of times in superhero movies, I mean, Batman's got Alfred, Superman's got Lois Lane, but we're tired of those people. and this was nice, seeing a change of pace.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I liked, and you said, he's not a great actor, but I was totally buying into his character, and I thought it was done really well, because I saw a few different themes in this movie. One of the themes that relates to the actor would be the next generation carrying on the torch of the past. And so I don't know if they're going to, but I would love to see some kind of spin-off with the next generation characters. I think that'd be great. I could see it having the potential to be just completely awful, but I would still definitely see it.
I did have a couple of, there was things I didn't like.
Close-up fight cam drove me crazy. I did not like it.
Well, and that didn't bother me because the fights lasted.
Yeah.
Like, if it had been a
Like-
5-minute
like
drag, I think
Bruce
I would.
Willis wrestling with the camera. It's fine. It's a style choice. I just didn't like it.
So, when there was a big, and it was kind of a plot thing that, so they bring them all to the insane asylum, and they lock them up, and they have a specific way to keep each person from escaping, right? So they have water nozzles to spray Bruce Willis, because water is his weakness. They have lights to
Control the horde
and make them change, and then they just drug Samuel L. Jackson into a comatose state so he can't, outthink everybody. But then the lady's talking to them all, and she's like, I don't believe your superpowers exist.
Yeah.
They have Bruce Willis locked in what is basically a bank vault with like a 6-inch thick steel door. Why did they have to have the water nozzles if he didn't have superpowers?
So that brings me to the third point, which is I think that the movie is on some level about the argument between the reality and religion and the reality and science. Because she says that the reason we're giving you your weakness to keep you trapped in is because you believe it. Because you believe it, then we're going to use it. She's never acknowledging that you're having to play by the rules of their illness in order to control them, which means that that's validating it exists.
But then But
She's a terrible psychiatrist.
Yeah, like we're going to give you the placebo that validates your disorder.
But again, that wouldn't be necessary.
Right, exactly.
If he had no superpowers and you got a 6-inch thick steel door, I don't need to make him think he's trapped in this room. He's trapped in that room.
Yeah.
But if he has superpowers, I need that water to stop his superpowers.
So the water bothered me a little bit. Now I know that was his
His
established from the
kryptonite,
first
yeah.
movie, but I don't remember it actually sapping his strength to be immersed in water. It was more when he inhaled it, he'd choke like a normal person. But it seemed like in this one they took it a step further.
It did,
It's like,
yeah,
no,
when
it
he
actually it makes him weak.
Well, the pressure, the pressure that they talk about coming out of the nozzles.
Okay, well, that I grant you.
It would be a mist, and that would basically saturate your lungs.
That I grant you, but I'm more like
At the end,
when he caught his breath and then was still helpless. They had the scene where the water was draining. You didn't actually see him get hosed, probably in his contract. But he wasn't even wet. Like, he wasn't even damp. Like, if that much water had just blasted him, he'd have been dripping and soaked. But no, he's dry.
What?
The room is soaked. He's dry.
What if Bruce Willis is actually hydrophobic?
in two senses of the word.
Yeah.
They threw him in a pool in the first movie. Like,
Did he come out dry?
But was that a
no,
Superman?
he was soaked. It was raining. It
Well,
could've
maybe he
been-
was dry. He just
Yeah,
didn't
I
have
don't
time to run. He's got like Rain-X.
Rain
He
is
just runs
CGI.
off of it.
It's like
All right, so Sarah Paulson, who plays the Doctor,
Dr. Price, wasn't it?
I guess I don't remember. It's been 3 days.
Oh,
No, Elijah Price.
Dr.
was-
Staple. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Elijah was Price.
I'm
So
sorry.
You only saw this 3 days ago?
Me, no, I saw it.
I saw it yesterday.
He went. I saw it recently. I saw it
Yeah.
like a month ago.
I had to get ready for this.
so the Doctor, I hated, but I hated in the proper kind of way.
Right.
There's so many movies you
Something-
watch where you hate a character and you hate it just because it's an obnoxious character. It's poorly acted for some reason.
Wow,
But
that's a good
I was
dog
supposed
force.
to hate her, and I did for the proper reasons, and
Because
that's
she's
nice.
her character is mean
Right.
and nasty and devious, and you can feel that there is something wrong.
Dolores
Something's
Umbridge.
not right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're supposed to hate
You
her.
love to hate him. He's like, oh.
Now, you didn't see Split before.
I still have not seen
I haven't
Split.
seen Split at
So
all.
did that cause a problem?
No, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk
Which
about.
I didn't even think if you hadn't seen Unbreakable, it would still be fine to watch
Yeah.
this.
Oh, the entire movie of Split was in that first 5 minutes of this movie
Yeah.
in the warehouse scene. That's all you need to know from Split.
Well, and so
Yeah,
I was going to
it's
say,
but-
there were things I know I missed,
Yeah.
but it was not that hard to put the context clues together in 3 seconds and be like, yeah, the girlfriend didn't know what she was, and oh well, she was a kidnapped victim. Yeah, she's coming back. It wasn't that hard to put together. And honestly, I watched Unbreakable 10 years ago, and I went in and I was like, I don't remember. Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember. And, it wasn't that hard, so it works fine.
I love the use of the flashbacks from Unbreakable, which is like, oh my gosh, it's like they just took that scene, here you go. You need to remember this. I'm like, oh, that's nice.
So Anna Taylor-Joy did a good job.
Yeah, she's the girlfriend, right?
Yes.
Yeah. She's in love with the Horde, or she's in love with one of the
Yes.
one of the members
I
of
don't
the
know.
Horde.
It was an awkward relationship. For
And
sure.
I actually, I didn't, like I said, didn't see Split, but I actually liked the fact that he's the Horde.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really smart because he's all these different characters. So he's the Horde. He's all these characters by
Yeah.
himself, and I was like, oh, that's clever. I like that.
Also, Shyamalan has done some good movies. He's done Unbreakable, Split, Glass. Do you think he's just doing the same thing he always does, present a fairly decent movie and then screw it up at the end? But he's playing a long con with us this time. Just give us 3 or 4 movies and then just crush our dreams and hopes right
Well,
there.
Maybe.
Fifth one.
I mean, I'm the opposite of what Harry said. Harry said that you wanted there to be more.
Yeah.
When I walked out, I went, that's the end. I don't want there to be more. And there could be good ones, there could be bad ones, but to me, it ended the way I wanted it to end. It was done. I don't, and we do that, especially in American society,
Yeah.
so much where this TV series is
keep going,
good.
keep
Let's
going.
make 20
Keep going.
more seasons, and it just falls to pieces. Or
And
let's
there
make
will be more.
And then-
This movie had a budget of $20 million. Has taken in almost $200 million so far.
Yeah.
So
$20 million?
yeah.
How did they get James
Bruce
McAvoy,
Willis.
Bruce Willis, and Sam Jackson for $20 million?
Split was done for $9 million. So
Yeah.
We didn't have Bruce Willis.
Oh my gosh, they've got to be friends. Like that's the only explanation.
Well, I mean, Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson have been doing Shyamalan for a long time, so I think
They love working with each other.
You always hear about people, doing it for free or doing it for a reduced salary just to get to work with them. So I'm sure it'd do something.
I guess that's
similar.
possible.
I did read an interview where they were talking with Sam Jackson, and he's been in, I don't know if you know this, but like over 100 movies.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And he really, it seems like he just cares about creating the art, and he doesn't really care about the dollar sign of what he's going to get paid because he's going to do so many roles anyway.
Well, he said, I watched an interview with him too, and he was competing with somebody else. I forget who it was.
Yeah.
But he's the most profitable. He has made more money as an actor than like anyone else. Like the movies he's been in, because he's been in Star Wars. He's been in like all the stuff. So he's made it's like $2 trillion. Like the movies he's been in.
He beat Tom Cruise.
Nice.
I think that's what it was.
Well, there was somebody that just come out with a movie, and that movie had surpassed him, and he's like, "Oh, so I gotta go do another movie, so I can get past him." I don't remember who it was.
Now, in his early days, when he was first starting to do all these movies just one after the other, I read that it was because he had a drug problem early on, and staying busy kept him away from that.
Especially with the directors having, these really strict guidelines, like, you got to be here at this time. Okay, I'll be there.
Well, and he said snakes on a plane. I watched him read something. It's like, why did you do? And he's like, how could you pick up a movie script that says snakes on a plane and not be like, okay, I'll do that.
And he's pushing 70 now, if he's not already 70.
I think he's 70. Yeah. He didn't look it.
I'm not sure the actress that played his mom, but during some of those scenes where it shows him as a child, it shows Glass as a child, not Sam Jackson as a child. I almost cried during some of those. Those were some really wrenching moments.
Oh, is him trying to just do
the carnival scene.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't, but it's because when he got on the thing, I went, oh, this is going to go bad.
Yeah.
Like, that was a bad...
Well, it wasn't
Do you have that sinking feeling right when
Yeah.
you look down and you see the stuffed animals on the floor and they're not beside him? You're like, no.
It wasn't because of the kid getting hurt, which makes me sound like a horrible person.
Didn't care about the kid. Hurt him like
It was because of the actress and her reactions were so gut wrenching because it
you got
felt
to watch
like
her suffer through...
yeah.
All right, so if you don't want to see Glass, or maybe you've already seen it, you want something else, maybe a similar vibe, what do y'all have for streaming options?
All right, I'm going to go first because I'm going to cheap out. Again, I haven't seen Split. I want to see it. I'm going to watch it. But if you don't want to see it, go see Unbreakable. I mean, that's the cheap, easy way out. But it sets up Samuel L. Jackson as his character. It sets up Bruce Willis as his character. You get a little bit more backstory. And again, you don't have to see it to see the movie, but you do get, a little bit there.
Yeah.
It enriches the experience.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I would say that.
Okay. I like that the movie is understated. It's not superhero whiz bang pal all the way through. And I like stuff like that. I'm going to go with Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai.
Oh, yeah.
As Forrest Whitaker plays a homeless man who lives by the code of the samurai. He's also a hitman, so that's a lot of fun. And it's directed by Jim Jarmusch, so go with that.
I am going with 2005, The Mist, because twists and turns. Of course, it was Stephen King, so it's a horror genre, not like superhero light genre. But you did have also some like psychological disconnect between these people, like, hey, this bad thing's happening outside. We all need to stay in here where it's safe, and everybody else was like, I don't believe you. So that ended up being some of that, and it all takes place mostly like in a little store. So, and again, twists. So, The Mist.
I'm going to. This is contingent. If you're if you really like the character of the Horde and you enjoy James McAvoy's performance, my recommendation is going to be the 2014 movie Creep, starring Mark Duplass. It is a very low-key movie that is heavy on character development, and I just really like watching Mark Duplass in a lot of stuff. He's kind of a funny and terrifying person to watch in this movie. If you're talking about the movie as a whole, you should just watch this. Watch this. I'm not going to give you a recommendation for anything else.
All right. We're going to look at Tolkien, which I thought we had already finished all the... No, I guess he wrote a lot more books than just The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, so...
Did he?
Yeah. The Silmarillion, which will never be made into a movie.
But is that really just another one?
It's a history book.
Okay.
It's like a history book of like spanning thousands of years. But yeah, he wrote some other stuff, but I'm not familiar with most of it. I mostly just read the Hobbit stuff because it's fun. Anyway, Tolkien, trailer 1. Here we go.
Tell me a story.
It's a story about journeys. The journeys we take to prove ourselves. It's about inventions. It's about potent magic. A magic beyond anything anyone has ever felt before. About what it means to love and to be loved. About courage. It's about fellowship.
So
It looks interesting.
there wasn't a lot in the trailer.
It was more like a teaser.
Yeah, I think it was more of a teaser, and I don't see myself being interested. I might see it when it comes out on Netflix.
That didn't want to make you see more.
No. From what I saw there, I've seen these kind of movies where it's like, oh, we're going to look into something that was really interesting, and then the person who created its life, which we're going to convince you for an hour and a half, was just as interesting. And I don't know. I'd rather just enjoy the end product and not the making of.
I can see that.
You don't need to know how the sausage was made.
Ooh.